I never thought opening my front door on a quiet Tuesday morning in suburban Oak Ridge would kick off the wildest week of my life. Three dudes standing there, decked out in knockoff tactical vests that screamed budget surplus store, one clutching a clipboard like it was his lifeline, another smirking like he'd just won the lottery, and the third flexing his arms as if that made him intimidating. "Mr. Harlan," the clipboard guy says, flashing a badge that looked faker than a $3 bill. "You're in breach of Community Ordinance 4D, illegal storage of defensive gear on premises. We'll need you to hand it over now." My heart skipped a beat, not out of fear, but because something felt off right away. This neighborhood in Sleepy Willow Creek didn't even have a real HOA, and these clowns were acting like they owned the block, demanding I surrender my personal protection items, the ones I'd kept since my days in the service, tools that reminded me of survival, of buddies lost overseas. I played it cool, didn't raise my voice. Never do, that's not my style. But inside, my mind was racing, piecing together how this wasn't just some prank. It was targeted, maybe tied to that old land dispute simmering in the area where some shady developers had been pushing folks out to flip properties for big bucks, using fake enforcers to scare residents into compliance or selling cheap. "Hang on a sec, fellas," I said with a nod, stepping back inside like I was fetching papers, but really grabbing my old tablet hooked to the outdoor cams I'd set up after a string of weird vandalism reports last summer. Old habits from my recon days die hard, you know? I watched them on the feed, whispering urgently, one pulling out a phone to text someone, glancing around nervously. And that's when it hit me. Coordinated, professional enough to be dangerous, but sloppy in ways that screamed opportunists preying on trust. Their ride, a nondescript gray van parked a block away, no plates, just a fresh scratch on the side, had caught my eye earlier during my jog, blending in but not quite, like they were scouting. So I hit record on everything. Audio, video, the whole setup. And when I stepped back out, I handed them a blank sheet with a straight face. "Mind flashing those credentials again?" Clipboard guy narrowed his eyes. "We already did, but I pushed. Just checked with the supposed association. Turns out they've never heard of you clowns." The flexor stepped up, voice low and threatening. "You really want to complicate this, Harlan?" And I met his gaze, calm as ever. "This is me keeping it simple, pal." The phone guy turned away, mouthing what looked like a signal. A name, maybe. Eagle's Nest. Confirming they had backup, probably from that developer ring I'd heard whispers about. The kind that manipulated community rules to force out long-timers like me who wouldn't budge on their inflated offers. I let them walk, smiling as they strutted off, trying to look tough. But I was already noting details. The van's make, the limp and smirker's step from some old injury perhaps. And 10 minutes later, I was in my beat-up Ford pickup, hoodie swapped for a cap, a hidden dash cam rolling, tailing them discreetly through winding streets to a rundown warehouse lot on the edge of town, the kind of place where shady deals go down under flickering lights. Parked out of sight, I zoomed in. Out comes this wiry older guy, salt and pepper hair, cheap suit hanging off him like he'd slept in it, handing over a thick envelope, cash no doubt, and a folder, slapping clipboard guy on the back like a proud dad. "Good haul today, boys. Keep hitting the soft targets." It clicked then. This wasn't random harassment. It was a racket, extortion disguised as enforcement, tied to those land grabs, disarming folks so they'd feel vulnerable, sell out cheap to clear the way for condos or whatever profit scheme they had brewing, preying on isolation, on people who wouldn't fight back. Over the next couple days, I went ghost mode, old training kicking in, tracking that van to more hits. A widow named Mrs. Ellis, trembling as they handed her a bogus notice about her late husband's old safe. An elderly couple, the Parkers, who looked defeated, forking over cash to avoid fines. Even a young dad in a wheelchair, Jake from down the street, who I'd chatted with at the local grill-outs, now staring at their fake papers like his world was crumbling. It burned me up inside, seeing how they chose the vulnerable, the ones without networks, exploiting that quiet community fear of authority. Maybe the boss, that wiry guy I dubbed Slick, had a grudge from losing a bid on nearby plots, or perhaps it was pure greed, manipulating HOA myths to erode rights, make people question their own security. I couldn't just sit. This wasn't about my porch anymore. It was personal, echoing those times overseas where you protect the defenseless. So I started compiling photos of plates, side-by-sides of real docs versus their crap forgeries, audio of them fumbling lines. Ordinance 4D one day, Section 9E the next, amateurs with a vicious edge. The turning point came watching old Mr. Vargas, a Korean war vet I'd nodded to at the range years back, shaking in his doorway, clutching their threat. 72 hours to comply or we remove your items by force. He believed it. Eyes hollow, reminding me of my own ghosts, the weight of what those items meant, not just metal but lifelines, symbols of autonomy in a world that sometimes strips it away. Mission shifted then, from defense to offense. I rigged my place like a set trap, hidden cams in the mailbox, the bird feeder, even a tacky garden statue I'd picked up for laughs, posting a fake compliance sticker on my door to lure them back, all while digging deeper into Slick's ties, suspecting he was the puppet master, maybe a disgraced realtor bitter over failed deals, using these goons to soften the neighborhood for takeover. They bid on Thursday midday sun beating down, kids laughing nearby. Clipboard guy saunters up, same smug vibe, slipping a final warning under the door with a phony seal, leaning into my doorbell cam. You've been notified, Harlan. Non-compliance means we escalate. Your choice. I stifled a chuckle inside. Escalate? I'd written the book on that. Waited till they were blocks away, then rolled out, following close this time, no subtlety, to their warehouse hideout where I parked bold, gloves on, body cam under my jacket, tablet streaming live to a secure spot. Hit send on the dossier. Every clip, every shaky neighbor exchange, every cash handoff, straight to a local advocacy group fighting developer overreach, my vet pals from the lodge, and a reporter buddy who'd sniff out the corruption angle. Hell, I even bounced it to their dummy email scraped from a notice, subject, "Spotlight's on you." Panic erupted inside that dingy building 5 minutes later. Clipboard guy bursts out, yelling into his phone, "We're blown! Abort!" Slick hurling files into the van like evidence in a fire, one goon scanning the sky for imaginary drones, their faces twisted in that raw fear of exposure. They peeled out, tires screeching, weaving through traffic like amateurs in a bad chase flick. But I wasn't alone, called in favors from my Marine brothers, Tom and Rico, who flanked them in their rides, hurting without touching, till they dead-ended in a quiet cul-de-sac. No escape. I blocked them casual. Stepped out slow, no weapons, just the tablet glowing like a Judgment Day screen. Holding it up. End of the line, fellas. Recognize this? Flipping through footage, them at doors, threats rolling off tongues, envelopes pocketed, their eyes widened, pale as ghosts. You enjoy bullying the weak, huh? I said, voice steady but edged, walking closer. Widows, vets, folks just trying to live, all to line Slick's pockets with land scams? Clipboard guy stammered. This is a mistake, but Slick tried bluffing. You got nothing admissible, Harlan? Walk away. I smirked. Don't need a courtroom. Got the web. And right then, as if scripted, cars started pulling up. Mrs. Ellis in her old sedan, fire in her eyes. That's the creep who said my home wasn't secure enough. Threatened to report me to child services over nothing. Then the Parkers, arm in arm, Mr. Parker booming. You tried stripping our peace, boy. My granddad built this community. You ain't tearing it down. Jake wheeled up next, phone out. Streaming live, assholes. World's watching your fraud crumble. The crowd swelled. Neighbors I'd barely known, now united. Phones flashing. Voices rising in a chorus of outrage. One lady with her rescue dog yapping like a tiny enforcer, another passing around popcorn from her trunk, turning it into a spectacle. Flexer tried bolting, but Tom stepped forward, arms crossed. Bad idea, sport. Slick, cornered, whined. We were just enforcing rules, keeping things safe, sparking laughs and boos. Safe from what, your greed? Someone yelled. It built to a fever, that electric hum of community reclaiming power, till sirens wailed. Not my call, but a neighbor's tip from the stream alerting a deputy who'd pegged Slick from prior scams tied to property flips. Cops rolled in, reviewed the tablet, and cuffed them on the spot. Impersonation, extortion, the works. Slick pleading, misunderstanding. As they loaded him up, faces pressed to windows like defeated villains in a movie fade-out. We threw a barbecue that weekend. Grills smoking, kids bouncing in an inflatable, a banner reading Neighborhood Watch, 1, Scammers, 0. Folks sharing stories, installing cams for Mr. Vargas, Mrs. Ellis running our new group chat like a boss. I clipped the footage, posted it not for likes but to warn, fake power thrives on silence, but push back together and it crumbles. Changed me too, from lone wolf to seeing strength in bonds. But here's the twist that still nags. Was I right to go vigilante? Or should I have called authorities sooner? Could have escalated wrong, hurt innocents. What do you think? Drop a comment. Your take on justice, community clashes, or if you've faced shady enforcers. Share your story. Let's debate if ends justify means. Hit subscribe if you dig real-life takedowns. More coming.